So Pharaoh Akhenaten, once he got these orders directly from Amun-Ra, he then was told to go around and begin to deface all the other gods. He was then making rules that if anybody were to worship another god other than the sun disk, Amun-Ra, Aten, that they would be murdered, killed. And so he started getting this huge following of people pretty quickly that were underneath his wings. In other words, he was like the priest, and they were his, they were his congregation. And he was preaching this monotheistic concept where he was ushering in a one God religion to the area, and he was having people go around and chip away at the faces and the bodies and the noses and everything else of all the statues around Egypt that represent any other god. That's where it really came from. So if you're wondering why the noses and the heads and the ears are chipped off all the time, it's not because white people went to Egypt and did this, because they weren't even around in ancient times. These things can be dated back to the time when these things were defaced. They were defaced, the majority of them were defaced long before the Greeks and the Romans ever even showed up. These are just facts, guys. I'm here to give you real facts. I'm not here to play with your heartstrings. I'm not here to pimp your brain and make you feel good inside. I'm here to give you the information. Whether you like it or not, I'm giving you all the information, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The reason why those noses and those ears are missing is actually two reasons. The first reason is because the ears and the noses are very, very difficult to maintain over thousands of years or hundreds of years even, because those are the most brittle parts of the statue, and they usually fall away or degrade first. Okay, especially when they've been buried and tossed over and everything else. The second reason is because Pharaoh Akhenaten ordered that these things be chipped away, broken, and pretty much erased. So when you go to Egypt with me, whoever went, the people who are in this chat right now who went with me just a few weeks ago, they saw it with their own eyes. We know this stuff was done in ancient times, long before anybody white even arrived. So the people around him were like, "This guy's erasing our history. Like, we have to stop him at any cost." Finally, he was ousted. Okay, he was ousted. But what did he do? He didn't just leave. He left with his band of new followers. And what were they studying from? They were creating what is now known as the Old Testament, but all that information wasn't written yet. It came from Sumerian tablets. The bulk of the Old Testament is coming from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Enuma Elish and the Seven Tablets of Creation, the Epic of Atrahasis. Okay, a lot of that is and of course several cylinder scrolls from the Sumerians. A lot of that is the majority of the Old Testament. The Epic of Gilgamesh, that's the true story of Noah and Noah's Ark. A lot of it, and the myth of Adapa. All this is coming from Sumerian tablets and the Egyptian Book of the Dead. All right, they were taking that information back then at that time, because remember, there was nothing yet, and they're turning that into written text under one canonized type text to study and research. And then they fled out of Egypt and left. All right, left out of Egypt, and then they spread out all over the place. This is Queen Tiye. This is Pharaoh Akhenaten's mother. Okay, this is his mother. This is a re-rendering of what she looked like. People who went with me saw the actual mummy at the actual museum. We went to the Museum of Civilization. You can see this is a black and white image here at the bottom, but you can see that she was a black woman with woolly hair, just like you see here, like regular tight curls like all black people have. You can see this head bust above in the upper right corner. That's at the Egyptian Museum, depicting her true likeness at the time that it was taken. You can see that she's older. Her face is drawn down a little bit. Her mouth is drawn down. She was obviously an older woman at the time, a grandmother. Most likely, well, she never got to be really a grandmother, but older woman at the time. King Tut was, we don't know. Maybe Pharaoh Akhenaten's daughters may have had some children. She may not have never seen them, but King Tut was killed, and so was his girlfriend. However, you can see here she definitely was a black woman. All right, she was a queen of Egypt in the 18th dynasty, wife of the Pharaoh, Amenhotep III, mother of Akhenaten, grandmother of both Tutankhamun and Senamun, Ankh-Senamun, my bad. And she exerted enormous influence at the courts of both her husband and son, and is known to have communicated directly with the rulers of foreign nations. She was like an emissary, ambassador. The Amarna letters also show that she was highly regarded by these rulers. So these are the Amarna letters, which are available, public record. This is proof and more evidence that these people existed, okay? And especially during the reign of her son. Although she believed in the traditional polytheistic religion of Egypt, see, her son wanted to bring in monotheism. She believed in the multiple gods. He believed in the single god. She supported Akhenaten's monotheistic reforms, most likely because she recognized them as important political stratagems to increase the power of the throne at the expense of the priesthood of Amun. So basically, like I said, guys, this is what was going on back then. This was a battle between religions. Is there going to be multiple gods like the Greeks believed in? The Greeks took that from Egypt and created the pantheon. The original pantheon came even before Egypt.